We are back and remoted to our client machine. So the computer name is VM-client, so the host name appears below. So we are using a Windows Server operating system instead of the usual client operating system like your Windows 10 or Windows 11. It is joined to the domain inquirinity.local, and as you can see on the command prompt, we are doing a continuous ping to our server, VM server inquirinity.local, and it's reachable, and the IP address is 10.0.10.10. For our first task, to create Active Directory organizational unit, security group, and a user. So we will remote to our server. So from the start menu, we just type remote and it will appear the best match remote desktop connection. So we click on this one. So under the computer, we could type in the IP address or the fully qualified domain name of our VM server. In the computer, we type vm-server.inquirinity.local. Again, we can type in the IP address 10.0.10.10, but we opt with the fully qualified domain name. So you could go with the username and type in the username, but we can also do it later. So hide options. So we can then click connect. So we will click connect and it will ask us with our credentials. So we have already typed in our credentials, for example username, so we will type in the password. So once we type in our password, we can click OK, and if our credentials is correct, and we can go in remotely to our VM server. So I've typed in the password, so click OK, and it now successfully authenticates and successfully remote into our VM server. So we will wait for the server manager to fully confirm, but this is already vm-server.inquirinity.local. So if we go to the local server, so we will see that the computer name is indeed VM server. Okay, so you'll notice that this server has the ADDS, Active Directory Domain Services, and Domain Name System roles installed. Or you could also go to Tools and click on the Active Directory Users and Computers, from where we could create our Active Directory objects. We could also go with the Administrative Center, but we will go with the traditional one, Users and Computers, and it will launch this window, and for us to begin the creation of the Active Directory objects. Let's begin to create our organizational unit. So under inquirinity.local domain, so right click, new, and you go and search for the organizational unit and click on it. So this is the new object OU, and we can type in our OU. So our requirement is sales OU, and we have this protect container from accidental deletion, so we leave it as check and click OK, and there you have it. We now have our organizational unit. Next, we will create our group or security group. So highlighting the sales OU, so inside here or from here we could right click new, or from inside also we could right click new and select group. For now, we will leave the default selection under group scope, so we will select global. Group type, we will select security, or we will leave it as default. So from here we type our group, so sales group GRP, and click OK, and we now have our sales group that is inside the sales OU. Next, while still inside the sales OU or highlighting it, or from here we could create our user. So right click new user, and the new object user creation window will appear. Okay, so we will type in the user details. So for the first name, so inquirinity, last name is sales. Again, this is for demonstration purposes only, so you could leave the initials. User logon will be your username. So in Queerinity, I know it's a bit long, but again, for the purposes of making it clear, so in Queerinity.sales, okay, or you could have sales as well, up to you. So for example, for us is .sales. So the same with the pre-Windows 2000. Then we could click the next, and from here we will be asked to type in our user password. So password and confirm password, and we have some settings. So user must change password at the next log on. Again, for demonstration purposes, we will uncheck this, and we will just select the password never expires. So whatever we type in with our password will never expire. Account is disabled. Of course, we want our user to be active or enabled, so we will not check on this. So when we key in our password, then we can click the next. So I key in the password, so we can click next, and when we click finish, the object will be created. So click finish, and the object is created here under the sales OU. So one more step, we want to make sure this Inquirinity sales user is part of this group. So if we go to the group and go to the members tab, you'll notice that there are no users under this sales group. So it doesn't mean that his last name is sales already it will become a member of this sales. So it doesn't work that way. We need to explicitly add the user to the membership. So either we can go here on the sales group members, or we could go to the user and go to the tab member of. So member of by default is a member of the built-in domain users group, and we'll just simply add the sales group to the member of the user. So either way will meet the objective of making this user part of this group. So a more simpler one perhaps is go to this group and go to the members and find the user, or they are a bit the same in terms of difficulty, and let's search the user. So let's type in the user Inquirinity.sales. That's the username that we have typed in. So check names. So it means that when there is this underline, that this user is indeed present from this Inquirinity.local domain. So if there's no underline, so meaning to say that user that you have searched is not found or is not yet created. So it should have this underline to confirm that user is present. So then finally we click OK, and Inquirinity Sales is a member of the sales group. Click apply, click OK, and you now have the sales group, the user, and the OU to meet the objectives of task number 1. For our next task, which is to create the Finance Active Directory objects, so we will create the Finance OU, Finance Group, and the Finance user. So we will do it on another option. So instead of directly remoting to our server, we'll make use of a different option or a different method, and it will use a tool. We call it Remote Server Administration Tool. So we are back in our client machine. We have closed or terminated the remote session to our server. So basically we will proceed with the creation in our client using that tool. So using your favorite or preferred browser, so you just search RSAT Windows and look for the official from Microsoft. So for this link, it's from Microsoft. So Remote Server Administration Tools for Windows. So if you are on client operating system, so from Windows 7 to Windows 10, Windows 11, so you should use this link or tool and download from here. If we click on that link and we are in this page, Remote Server Administration Tools or RSAT for Windows, so you'll have for Windows 7, so Windows features on and off, and you'll have this RSAT tools or tools for ADDS, and you have also for download locations for Windows 10. So from the same article, it also mentioned that if you want to install RSAT tools for Windows 10 version 1809 and later version, so slightly different, because RSAT is now part of operating system and can be added via the optional features. So you have to go to these steps to go to that optional features. Now for a Windows server, so we don't need to go to that particular step. So in a Windows server, so we could add the tool by going to manage, add roles and features, click next. So role-based or feature-based installation, so click next. VM client, click next, and you'll notice we have the server roles, and again to highlight, we are not adding Active Directory domain services, we are adding the tool, so it's not a role, it's a feature. So click next, we go to features, and we are not at the feature selection. So if you scroll down to the letter R, you'll notice the remote server administration tools. Now if we expand the remote server administration tools, we have two options, so feature admin tools, or we would like to have role admin tools. So since we would like to manage the or administer the Active Directory domain services, so we'll be going under this role admin tools. Let's expand this, and this is the tool that we will be looking for, or we'll be checking ADDS, Active Directory Domain Services tools, and we will check on this. So there are other tools here as well if you would like to manage the DHCP, DNS, but for our demonstration, we'll just simply add in the ADDS. So let's check the ADDS, and we have clicked the next button. So after that, confirmation, and you only need the ADDS tools or the lightweight tools. So you have the Windows PowerShell, the Admin Center, and the snap-ins. So install, and it will do a starting installation. So the installation was succeeded, and you could click close. So now where is that tool? So of course it will be under the tools, and you now have the Active Directory tools for you. So you have Active Directory users and computers, and I could launch. So I could launch because my login is the VM admin or the administrator. But again, just to show you, if we go to manage, add roles and features, click next, next, next. Take note, I don't have the Active Directory Domain Services role. So this is not a domain controller. This is still a client. I don't have any ADDS or DNS roles here. So simply we have added the feature or the RSAT tool for us to manage in a client. We don't need to remote to the server. We could manage the adding of the users, OU, and groups while we are inside a client. To make it more realistic, so let's log in or sign out with this VM admin and use that domain user that we have created, the Inquirinity Sales. So but before that, we will need to allow the Inquirinity.sales user for remote desktop. So we minimize this remote desktop and allow the users, and we will add in the user. So Inquirinity sales, check name, and click OK. So click OK, and again to make sure it's verified that it's added, and we click OK so that we can remote in using that Inquirinity.sales user, which is only a domain user and it's not a domain administrator. Alright, we are remote into our VM client, but this time it's not VM admin, but by using Inquirinity.sales, which is only a domain user. So let's try to launch that tool. So tools, Active Directory users and computers. and we have inquirinity.local. So from here, let's try to create new. So all task. So if we take a look, okay, we cannot even find the new. So if we go in and right click new, okay, so as far as I'm seeing, I don't even see the new. Okay, so we could not click. So even go to the sales and right click all task, I don't even see the new here. So we don't have, definitely we don't have the rights to create an Active Directory object if we are using the inquirinity.sales. What we can do to proceed, of course, we could run the server manager as administrator, or we could just simply do the type in dsa.msc, which is the shortcut of the Active Directory users and computers. So just wanted to show if we launch without using administrator, so we could launch the Active Directory users and computers. So now we key in the DSA MSC, so DSA.msc, and right click run as administrator. It will prompt us to type in the one with the admin privileges. So I've typed in the VM admin and its password and click yes. And let's wait for the DSA MSC to appear, and it's here. And let's try to do a right click, and there is now the new. Okay, so now we could create the user. So we are still, okay, who am I? Okay, so we are still inquirinity.sales user, but for this Active Directory users computer window or snap in, so we are using the administrator, which is the VM admin. Okay, so now we just apply what we have learned. So right click on the domain, so new organizational unit, so finance OU, click OK. So while under the finance OU, you could right click new and select the group and type in the finance group. Okay, so we'll still use the group scope global and group type security. Click OK. And finally, we create the user in Inquirinity Finance. So right click new user. So Inquirinity, last name is finance. So Inquirinity.finance. So click next. And again, for the password never expires, and we type in our password. So we key in our password never expires, click next, and click finish for the object to be created. And there you go, the finance user is created. We need to add the finance user to the finance group, so let's do the reverse. Let's do on the user. So on the user, double click, member of, add, and let's just find the finance group, check names, and yes, you have the group that is available with an underline. So click OK. So this is a valid security group. So now the Inquirinity Finance is a member of two groups, domain users and finance group. So click apply, click OK. So if we go reverse, finance, and find the members, and yes, the Inquirinity Finance is added here. Okay, so similarly, I remote and log in using the newly created Inquirinity.finance user. So I need to add it on the remote desktop, but I could not show you because if I click the remote desktop, I don't have the administrator rights. Of course, I could show it by typing the VM admin, and we will see that the finance user was indeed added. But just to show you that the finance user was created. So next for our part 3 will be the accessing of the file server using the users that we have created.